What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the most important video that I've ever made when it comes to working out. In this video we are going to look into the muscle and strength pyramid, or in other words, the priority pyramid when it comes to working out. This is basically gonna be a guide to bodybuilding. If you are new to bodybuilding, or even if you have been working out for a long time, this will 100% help you. So the pyramid that I'm going to present was made by Eric Helms, and it's a pretty famous pyramid, not like Egyptian pyramids, but pretty famous. The pyramid is divided by 6 steps in order of importance. The first couple of steps are the most important ones, the broader ones. Then it starts getting really small and it starts getting into stuff that you don't really have to worry about a lot, but if you want to compete, if you want to make a career out of bodybuilding, it will help you. So let's take the first step. And the first step of the pyramid is adherence. This means that you can have the best plan in the world. If you don't follow it, and if you don't follow it for a long period of time, you will not see results, because this takes time and you actually have to do it. It doesn't matter if it looks great on paper. If you don't actually put it in practice, you won't be able to get the results that you want. Imagine, for example, that you are a very busy person, you have a family, you have 2 jobs or something like that, and you still want to work out. Maybe if your plan says to work out 6 days a week, you won't be able to do it. Maybe you should get a plan tailored for 3 days a week. That would be so much better. And even if you can follow the plan for a couple of weeks, if you can't follow it for a long period of time, again, you won't be able to get results. This is a long game, so adherence is number 1. I mean, do you realize what this means? This means that even if everything on the rest of the pyramid is wrong, you can get results if you stay consistent. So yeah, consistency is power. Okay, now let's take our second step: volume, intensity, and frequency. When you're planning any workout plan, or even any workout on a given day, you need to pay attention to these 3 variables, because they are really inseparable: volume, intensity, and frequency. When I say volume, you say hi. No, I'm kidding. When I say volume, I'm talking about the number of sets and reps that you do. When I talk about intensity, I'm talking about the weight that you use for those sets and reps. And when I talk about frequency, is the number of times you work out each muscle, or that particular muscle, in a week. Now, the volume, intensity, and frequency recommendations will vary from person to person because of their life, because of their genetics, because of their goals, because of a lot of things. But I'm going to give you general recommendations that you can follow, and you'll probably be safe following them. They are just not tailored for you. When it comes to volume, you should do between 40 and 70 reps per workout per muscle. For example, if you're doing chest and tricep today, you should do at least 40 reps for each muscle and a max of 70 reps. Now, depending on your plan and on the person itself, this can vary, but these are the general recommendations. Now, when it comes to intensity, if your goal is strength, you should do 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 in a rep range of 1 to 6. What do I mean by this? If you have 4 sets, you need to do 3 of those sets with a rep range between 1 to 6 if your goal is strength. And the other one, you can go a little bit higher. If your goal is hypertrophy, then you should do 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 in the rep range between 8 and 12. This means that if you have 4 sets on a given exercise, 3 of those should be between 8 and 12 reps with a weight that challenges you for 8 to 12 reps, and the other set can be below or above that range. Now, you need to pay attention to the weight that you use on these reps, because you can just use any amount of weight that doesn't really challenge you and you won't be able to get results. The weights that you should use are based on your 1 rep max, and to find that out you can test it out. You can see how much can I do for 1 rep and then establish, okay, for 1 rep I do this amount of weight, for 10 reps I should do this amount of weight. You can go online and get the calculator. There's even a lot of apps to do it, so you don't really have to do any of the math. And there's also another way to find out your 1 rep max without testing it, and it's very simple. You do, for example, a 6 rep max, you put it in the calculator and it will spit out the 1 rep max. And now to finish the volume, intensity and frequency trio, let's go to frequency. In frequency, this is super important. You should work out each muscle 2 to 3 times per week. Working out any muscle just once a week is not the ideal scenario. I mean, it might be ideal for you given all your life, but working out 2 to 3 times a week, having that frequency is super important. Okay, and we are now going to take step 3. But remember one thing, we already did 1 and 2, and they are the most important parts of the pyramid. So everything from now on will be less important, and maybe you don't have to stress about it a lot if you're just a casual lifter. Again, if you want to compete and have that competitive edge, you should pay attention to this. And the step number 3 is progression. You need to progress over time. In here I'm talking about progressive overload, and progressive overload is nothing else than increasing your intensity workout after workout. And you can do this in several different ways. The number 1 way is to increase the weights that we use for the same amount of reps. If today you can do 10 reps on the bench press with 100 kilos, on the next workout you should try to get 10 reps with 101 kilos. See, small improvements, workout to workout, week to week or month to month, depending on where you are in your lifting career. But there's a lot of other ways to have progressive overload without increasing weights. For example, you can do the same amount of weight for 1 more rep. You can do the same amount of weight but with smaller rest periods. You can do the same amount of weight but with a slower rep. See, there's a lot of ways to have this progressive overload, and weight is the most used one, but it's not the only one. And now step number 4, exercise selection. This one is particularly important for weightlifters, for strength athletes, because they need to get better at certain exercises, so they really have to prioritize those exercises. But when it comes to hypertrophy, no exercise is needed, no exercise is obligatory or impossible to replace, but there are some exercises that you should focus on and that can give you the most bang for your buck. And those are the compound exercises, such as the bench press, the deadlift, the squat, the overhead press, the rows, lunges, pull-ups, dips, those types of exercises that involve a lot of muscles, and you can get shorter workouts and still get it done. So focus on those exercises, but if your goal is hypertrophy, still do a lot of isolation work because you are going to need it, and depending on the individual, you might need more isolation work on one muscle than the other, and you might need certain types of isolation exercises more than others. Okay, and for the number 5, we have rest periods. Rest periods between sets. How much should you rest between sets? This is a big question, and I really thought that was a measure for it, but actually there's not. There's no real scientific answer for this. If you are a strength athlete, you need to rest until you can move that weight again, okay? And if you are a hypertrophy athlete, you just need to rest until you can go do the set with the same amount of intensity. You shouldn't really rest too much or too little. You should auto-regulate your rest periods. Don't do too much, don't pick up your phone, don't go on Instagram and like my pictures. By the way, you can follow me on Instagram. But do rest as much as you need to go in and do another set with the same intensity. And this brings us to the last step of the pyramid. We are now on top of the pyramid with tempo. And by tempo, I mean the amount of time that you take to do one rep. There are 2 phases in every lift. The concentric one, when you come up, when you push down on the tricep, and the eccentric one, when you come down, when you let it come up on the tricep. Depending on the muscle, it will vary. But the concentric phase is always when you're exerting force, and the eccentric phase is always when you're letting it go down and fighting gravity. So which one of these is the most important, and how long should you take to do them? There was always this idea that the eccentric part of the movement was the most important one, and it actually is. But how long should you take to do it? Should you take 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 8 seconds, 10 seconds? Actually, it shouldn't take you that long. The time that it should take you is the time to simply let it go down. You don't need to do the eccentric part for a long period of time, but you should simply hold it and let it go. This means that you don't really get an additional benefit from doing 10 seconds or very long eccentric parts. Just lift the weight up and let it go down. Control the eccentric. That's the only important thing, to control the eccentric. So as I was saying, sorry about that, my camera just died. You should simply lift weights and don't let them fall. Just control the negative and you will be alright. And that's it for the video, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I feel like this is the most complete video about working out that you can probably find, and on my channel obviously, but hopefully on the internet. So leave a like down below if you liked the video. Let's help this get to more people. Leave a comment because that's also really helpful. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. If you have any questions about these topics or any other topic, leave them down below and I will be happy to answer. And I am sorry because I haven't uploaded videos in a long time. My English is probably super rusty. As you can tell, English is not my first language, so I haven't spoken English in like 4 months or 5 or something like that since my last video here. Okay, maybe it was 3 months ago, but still, that's a long time without speaking English. So let me know what you think of my English. If it bothers you to listen to someone with an accent, or if it doesn't bother you at all and you enjoy the information. So that's it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching.